Okay. With the hour being after 7, we have a quorum. We'll open the meeting. First off, minutes of February 15th. I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
A second. Any discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained. It's a vote. Okay, we'll get some business here before we get appointments later on. So, what we got, Kate, you want to throw?
I have behind papers to accept the Form F and endorse the plans.
The hour on.
We're all set.
I'll do it.
Town council has said yes. Maggie has said yes.
What, endorse?
Yeah. And we have a letter saying that there were no appeals taken.
First
We have
off,
to
we'll make a
sign all of
motion
them?
to endorse.
Second.
We have a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And then the second motion will be, make a motion to accept the Form F covenant.
Second.
Okay. I have a second, Form F for Durban Realty Trust. We have a second. Any discussions? All in favor? Aye. Okay, so that's all we had to do with 9 acres, right, other than sign. Keep the big one?
I think everybody wants
Yeah, you gave me
This
the one that
doesn't
didn't
work.
work.
You also got the small chair.
I know.
Still. Your
Right.
phone on the right picked up.
We're on TV, so you can't say that. You shouldn't.
It is funny.
I have groupies.
I thought we were gonna change it to only
Yes,
sign the
we-
first
yeah.
page.
All the
I
way
can't
from
do that
the-
Before we did that.
They're watching tonight.
So this was all done.
Ciao.
Say ciao.
Say ciao to Angelino and Perina from Comanduno. We love you.
Okay. My God. Someday. Didn't, okay,
Yes,
I'll try to be nice, but I think over how many years I've told Truax, we don't need to have our names on the detail sheets. But once again, one of my groupies told me this is the best part, is when you sign plans. It's the most exciting part of the entire. I'll go to Sarah first. Guess I'm joking. This one? I wasn't hurt.
Thank you.
I missed the card. Now, while Sarah's signing, it's gonna be rolling here, we're gonna be sitting here. Oh no, 7:15.
What a good idea.
Who came up with that?
What happens if we roll past 7:15? You better sign quicker.
Okay.
What do you got next?
Ross Common was really nothing. I think you and Mr. Higgins went back and forth. I don't know.
Yeah, that's gotta be,
So that's really nothing.
you saw what I said about owning, he said they own it now, right?
Okay. And then 1449 Main Street, nobody came in with a plan, so
They what?
they couldn't find the endorsed site plan for 1449 Main Street. You had said that we didn't have one, and I looked and we didn't. So they were gonna get me a Mylar, but they didn't, so nothing to do with that
This is the A and R.
either.
This is the A and R.
That's the A&R. That's next.
Oh, so we're not doing one for
No.
14, oh, okay. So we have an A and R for Moose Hill. get a shot to look at it. So it, and they are, and what are they doing? Be nice if they told us. Parcel A, E, and F, and G constitute one lot, if they have to be held by Alpha A, E, B, okay. So, all right, it's just a little more complicated. You guys looked at this. Could you explain what they're doing? We said Sharon on it too. What are they doing?
Mr. Chairman, I did look at it, and I don't have a problem with it.
Oh,
I believe the applicant can
Joanne
give
was
us
here
a...
to talk to her.
I didn't realize. You here for an A&R, John?
Well, I was asked to come. It is a little, I wouldn't say it's complicated, but it's sort of breaking up the lots, some smaller parcels, and then putting them back together for 3 lots.
Okay. So come for an A&R, but not for the...
I was on vacation.
I didn't say anything. I didn't say, I just made a point. All right, now, why don't you explain it to all of us?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. Joanna Giorgio Hilvert from Mackey and Mackey, 1256 Washington Street in Norwood. I'm here on behalf of the applicant, Alfred Cabral, the owner of 329 Moose Hill Road. We have here a proposed A&R plan related to a land swap. John has kindly created 2 colored plans, which should help explain what we're trying to do here. This first colored plan are the 2 existing lots. This is my client's lot, 329 Moose Hill Road. This is 335 Moose Hill Road, which is owned by Blanchette Development Corp., who has also signed the application. The intention is through a variety of land swaps to maintain the 2 existing lots and create a 3rd buildable lot. So this is, the purple, again, is my client's lot. The pink is Blanchette Development Corp., and the green is the new buildable lot. I will note that the purple lot is a pre-existing non-conforming because it does not have the circle. It remains non-conforming. It's still not going to have the circle, but it will be conforming for area, which is why we're doing this. The green lot is conforming.
Okay, so the purple, I see you got 16 and 13, you,
We have the frontage to all this.
okay.
Right, so I can bring this up if you'd like to see, but I just added them up here. So the purple ends up with A, C, F, and G, and it's a total of 33,677 square feet. And we don't go lower, this is residence A, so we don't go lower than the 150 feet or the 120 feet at the setback, or vice versa, right? So that lot, pre-existing non-conforming, but ends up pre-existing non-conforming. We don't change the non-conformity, we don't make it more non-conforming. The lot for 335, it's non-conforming in the sense that it doesn't have the 150 feet of frontage, but we don't touch the frontage, and it ends up with 35,000 square feet, 35,995, where 30,000 square feet is required. And then the new lot obviously would have all of the requirements of the zoning in this area, Residence A again. So it has 150 feet of frontage along the street. It has 120 feet of frontage, the way it's measured, at the 30-foot setback. It has the 120-foot building circle, and it has 34,766 square feet of land. There's no buildings in that lot, so we don't have to worry about the setbacks. The line between the buildings here don't change, so those front and side setbacks don't change. I guess somebody could say, well, we are changing this rear setback here, but 30 feet's the requirement, and it's much more than the required 30 feet from here to here.
Okay, question, parcel G's in Sharon, what's the zone there?
I think it's on the plan. But it's a residential zone, it's not a commercial zone.
Okay.
And,
I'll defer. Tim, when it's, you got in another town, we ran against a long time ago up on, in South Walpole, but it's residential, another town, you can use it?
It's my understanding, Mr. Chairman, that there has been case law that says you can use that residentially zoned land. If it was commercial, it'd be a totally different story.
Okay. That's what happened up in,
yeah, but I checked, I'm surprised it's not on film, because I know I wrote it. Believe me, it's a residential zone, it's not a commercial zone. In fact, you can see that there's actually a house on this lot here, which is the last lot. So I'm unclear of what right now what that number is, but that lot is partially in Sharon and partially in Walpole. So.
And I should note that the town council has reviewed this plan and to confirm that it does comply with the Walpole zoning bylaw. And I do have an email to that effect if you'd be interested in it. I brought copies.
all right, well, we sent it out for to be reviewed?
I reviewed it, Mr. Chairman, I didn't have any issues with it. I
Have you
understood
reviewed
that the
town
town
council?
council reviewed it as well.
I brought it to the building commissioner prior to submitting,
Oh,
wanting to make
okay.
sure that.
So he sent it?
And then he sent it to town council, correct?
Okay. As long as I don't hear about the complaints about spending money, it's inspection departments, okay? Everybody understand, they got frontage, Sean Johnson, change it. As long as you can cut a lot up, as long as you don't make it more non-conforming, you make it less, but they didn't do that, so they didn't make it non-conforming, so I'll make a motion to endorse the A&R. Do I have a second?
Second. Second.
Second, okay. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained? All right, we just signed the Mylar.
Thank you.
All right. Let's sign the top one. What's that?
Just in pen? Did he give you a marker? Did he?
Yeah. I have one. Yeah. Looks like he did pen.
I'm sorry?
Looks like he did pen.
What?
You can sign it in pen?
Yep.
Oh, I didn't
I mean,
know.
it's,
Okay.
pen's a
All right.
pen.
I didn't know that.
Everybody loves using the big felt tips, I don't know why.
Okay. I didn't see that, I'm sorry.
What did they do back when Quincy and,
Blue, okay. I guess, I've never seen it.
yeah,
done
usually
that.
they sign in black, so.
I'll just
But
use
it's-
that.
yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
You guys
like to
sign
be
it-
different.
Sign it in Sharpie.
I signed it in this. It's no law.
Pencil. I gotta check the pencil. Thanks.
Yeah, I wonder if he gave it to him.
Everyone except for Mark.
Not very super.
Just one? Sign one copy.
Well, I had a-
Okay, sorry.
John,
Sign one copy.
I had a
It's
plan
just the
one
top
night
copy.
years ago, the Maloney gave us the Jack Walsh, and gave us the one in town.
Yeah.
I said, oh geez, maybe I'll change the sewers and all this.
Add a few
He didn't even
lots.
know we had it, giving it to us.
Add a few lots.
That's what this thing, Pat, no? Remember the guy used to do
Yeah,
it?
about that.
Yeah.
He's
Do it
nice.
since it's right there, and then I'll do it.
John, does the registry prefer to have the felt tip? What's the
Yeah.
standard on that?
As long as it's, what's the word, indelible, as long as it's permanent ink. I think you don't need to sign the paper copy, I can make
No.
copies for you.
Just
Sorry,
sign it.
on my-
Yep.
Is that yours?
Yeah. Set.
John, do you commonly also send that to us electronically so we can store it electronically?
Sure, yeah, I can scan it in and send it to you so that you'll have a signed copy.
Thank you.
Okay.
No, that's for next time. I couldn't get it. I couldn't mail it. It was too big. so
Oh,
I
this
put
is
that
take
away.
home?
Yeah.
You could mail it, you just chose not to.
No.
I think the two ladies out in the audience for Pine Acres.
The biggest thing they have to do is.
Are they?
I think they actually
They come back and they assess
Probably not.
because they come back to the assessors.
Thank you, good night.
Good night. We get them.
No, they might be.
That's how we change the
Pine Acres.
Do you want to tell?
This, that other one.
Ma'am, you're here for Pine Acres? Yes. It's done. We already did it. You came in too late. You're all set. Okay.
I didn't know what they want.
All
I
right.
don't know what you want on this, but, this is all Baker Street,
Okay.
the new plans.
All right. With the hour being after 7:15, we have a continued public hearing for 26 Baker Street.
Everybody have plans? This is the latest big one. What a big one.
It's the
Everything
same
else
one
went
we
up.
got, right?
Sorry? It's the latest.
Yeah, we all.
Right, it is. I don't have any more small ones.
Anybody need it? No? Okay.
Good evening. My name is Sean Hardy, engineer.
Oh, I should, hate to say one, there's only 4 of us. You want to continue? You have a right for 5.
There's only 4. Can I step out and see if the applicant's in the hall? Because usually he's
Yeah,
here by now.
yeah, and you can just tell them, you need a simple majority, which should be 3,
Okay.
okay?
I think we'll go. He's not here, but I know how,
Oh, no, he's not gonna yell at me, is he? Like last
I
time?
know he was upset when we continued last time, so
That's what-
I'm afraid to make that call.
We'll continue to a snowy night again.
Yeah, I think those are done. It's gonna be crocuses soon here, right?
All right, so,
At the last meeting, I think we were asked to add a demonstration plan or a demonstration layout plan to the plan set. We did that, we inserted that after the existing conditions plan, so that's sheet 3. That showed the lot layout that we believe conforms to the rules and regulations with the 30-foot radiuses coming into the subdivision, and then the length of the roadway and the turnaround at the end. We point out that we did that for, I guess, informational purposes. We make note of that on the plan because we still would request the waiver to lay it out as shown on the page, on sheet 4 with the 29-foot radius. Reason being, with the, as on the demonstration plan, it meets, but then the existing house that's on Baker Street then wouldn't have frontage on Baker Street anymore by the zoning bylaw. It would be short, so then it would revert to the new proposed roadway that we've kind of gone at length to say we don't want to consider a roadway. It's basically a driveway that's going to be serving one house, so would like to, again, just ask for the same waivers that we had outlined on the cover sheet and build it with the 29-foot radius out by Baker Street.
okay, well, you just talked about an issue. The existing house is gonna be on the new road. That's its frontage, legal frontage. You understand that, right?
Well, No, I believe the existing, well, it has a Baker Street address now. If
You
we,
can get, the address is the address, whatever the post office wants to do it. But you can't have a one-lot subdivision, as you know. So the Baker Street house will have to revert to the new road. That will be its access. And I mean,
Okay.
that's its access. Everything, all the setbacks have to conform to that.
and they, yeah, they do.
So you don't necessarily need the 30 feet if, you know, just to keep it. Isn't gonna affect you mail-wise.
Right.
It's just a matter of, like this. So from a legal perspective, the frontage will be on the new road. And does everything meet it as far as all your setbacks and side yards?
Yes.
All right, so if you go into the 29 feet, you just wanna do that just to keep it out there, but you don't need it.
Right.
Because that's gonna go away anyway. There will be no more, the frontage will not be on Baker anymore.
That's, yeah.
So you really don't need, even ask for the waiver, you're just gonna leave it at the 30 feet.
If that's what you guys want to approve, then I guess,
Well, it's simple, there's no need to grant a waiver, because you can't use Baker Street as your frontage. You have to use the new side street. You're not losing anything by it, correct?
correct. I mean, the only thing, I guess, would be building it with the waivers that we request. It's further, I know some of the abutters are concerned about what may happen in the future. If we build it with the waivers that we have, then, I mean, it wouldn't meet if somebody came in after the fact and wanted to do something, and it's likely they wouldn't even be able to do it, so. But it doesn't matter.
You lost me on that. Right now, you can build it at 30 feet,
Mhm.
roundings on both sides. And the current house, the way you've got it situated, will meet all the current setbacks on the new road.
Yes,
So that's all you really care about. And the waivers, you're asking for construction waivers, not any type of setback waivers, correct? You don't want to build a full road, so you're asking to go this wide, get rid of this curbs and this
yeah,
type
I
of...
just wanted to make sure that that 1 foot wouldn't kick into where we had the pavement, yeah, but that would be fine. Would be okay.
Okay. You all set, or you...
I believe so. I think the only other thing was that the surveyor who is here, Steve DeRoche, had been in contact with the town engineer to try and clear up some questions. But I think those were the only two things remaining after the last meeting.
Okay. I'll read the comments that we've got to date from the different departments on the revised set. And this is February 21st from the Board of Health. And that's at their February 20th meeting. They voted to reiterate their initial recommendations back in October. That they would want sidewalks. Conservation had submitted previous comments and they had no further comments on that. And we have Maggie's, and we have from the Police Department dated February 6th, and the plans have been reviewed for any impact on public safety or quality of life, and the Police Department does not have any public safety concerns. From the Superintendent of Highway, Parks, and Cemetery, Robert LeBlanc. This is dated February 22nd. Please be advised I reviewed the drawings for the proposed subdivision 26 Baker, and I respectfully request the planning board require the developer for the proposed subdivision to adhere to the rules and regs of street trees. I'd also request the developer make selections for varieties from the Massachusetts DCR fact sheet titled Selecting Trees for Your Urban and Community Forest. So. And
We did that. The trees that we outlined were from that list. He had sent that comment before, so.
Okay. And we got Tim's, Maggie, you have yours?
Real quick, you have the one dated February 9th?
Yeah.
Okay. One of the things that we typically see in a private way subdivision is a draft mutual maintenance agreement, easement documents, that type of thing. And I understand that the developer's attorney has suggested they don't want to do those particular documents, which is not the way the board typically does it. I suppose it doesn't mean it's illegal. My biggest concern is that there'll be no document anywhere that will say, who's responsible for the drainage and for this and for that on the street. The hard part is to list it on a plan. Well, 2 years from now, nobody's gonna have that plan, I guarantee it. So it's, if the planning was gonna approve this without mutual maintenance documents, we have to make sure it's written in a recorded document somewhere, who's responsible to do what.
I don't think we,
You've never done it that way, doesn't mean you can't do it that way,
well, I don't
but
think we've ever been, they haven't asked for that.
they have said that, I don't know if they've asked for it, but I know the board has said that the applicant has said his attorney doesn't think we need to do it, or they need to do it.
Okay.
And there's a note on the plan, but
2 years from now, that plan's gonna go poof goodbye, and future owners are not gonna have that. That's my biggest concern. The plans disappear. 5 years from now, 10 years from now, when their drainage is kaput or their water line is broken, I just wanna make sure that the recorded document is somewhere. And usually, it's my experience, the plans are what disappears. No matter how good you are, the plans are what disappear. People can keep a hold of a piece of paper. I know they're recorded, but
I don't know about the plans disappearing, Maggie, because typically paper disappears, but, do you plan on having this owned by the one person though, right? The
Yes.
fee interest,
yes,
which would be the house inside.
Right.
Correct? So if he owns it, they own it.
so that it will be written that they're responsible
yeah.
in
and
a
the-
deed.
I mean,
In the-
yeah, the note says it can be certainly on the deed, but the owner of Lot 2 shall be responsible for the maintenance of the driveway and utilities servicing said lot. Public standard streetlights will not be provided.
Correct, correct. And I knew that, and I knew
So,
that was there.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at this, it's basically, it's gonna look like
Yeah,
it's a driveway leading to a house, and
No, I
and they're
understand.
gonna be responsible, and if that's a requirement to be in the deed, then so it
I
shall
don't know if
be.
the boards are gonna require it, but I would strongly urge that it's somewhere other than on that plane, because I guarantee you, we in Public Works are the ones that get the calls when something's wrong.
Oh,
And
I
we
know.
need to have something that's easy to find. I mean, it's not that it's not illegal to do it that way, it's just, from my viewpoint, it's not convenient. Condition of approval for utility as-bills, and if you would give me a call at some point, it can even be after this hearing closes. I'm still not convinced you got the vertical, the NGVD or NAVD correct. The datum, I'm just concerned about the datum you're using on there.
Okay.
Because, and I know the figures you've written, but I also have a sheet that's been hanging on my wall since 1970, who knows what, that has different numbers other than that 23, 28. I don't know if it may matter to somebody in the future that may not be able to shoot your inverse, that's all. I just wanna make sure you have it right.
I'd like to go over that with you if possible, maybe tomorrow.
Yes, certainly, just give me a call, that's fine.
Thank you.
And one more thing, I'd like to see either on the plan or either in the plan or in the decision. I know the applicant's traffic engineer had some recommendations for tree trimming and brush, and there should be a note on the plan that shows, just in a general manner, where that's supposed to be, so that when they go to construct, highway knows what they're gonna be looking at. And that's fine.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question for Maggie.
Okay.
What about the trench, the deep infiltration trench, all around the hammerhead?
Yeah.
Should it go all around the hammerhead?
The way you have it now, it's going right down, just down one side?
It's,
Well, sort of.
the reason it's not up there is because the road's not graded to there.
Yeah.
The pitch of the road is
Is sloping
It's-
down?
right.
slopes to this way.
All right. You don't have a problem with that?
No, absolutely not. It makes no sense. You don't put, at the back of that hammerhead, it would be uphill, and it wouldn't see anything.
Okay. Thank you.
All set. Tim?
I had a lot of little minor details, but the key was what Maggie already mentioned, is that memorializing control of that road and ownership of that road. That it should be, I would recommend that the board make that as a condition of the approval, and that planning staff take a quick look at it, so that we're sure that it's memorialized and someone is gonna maintain that road, so the town doesn't have to.
Okay.
Like in deed language, is that what you're saying, or something to that effect?
Correct.
Okay, certainly.
All right. What else do I get here? That was it, Kate, correct? From,
That was it for board comments, yes.
yeah. Do we have others?
Just comments that came in from Field Areas and Christine Cochran, and Marky and
All right, okay, yeah. Do we have answers to those? On their com-
We had issued the correspondence yesterday, and the new correspondence came in today, both in response to Maggie's comments and my own. We have 2 pages, I believe the board has it in their packages dated today. The O'Learys are not satisfied with the responses that our office and the engineering office put together.
Okay, so, do you have to summarize what you, on these, what is and what isn't?
I respectfully disagree with Mr. O'Leary that we did not respond to his questions adequately. I think that we spent a great deal of time on it. I don't see any outstanding issues, and my recommendation would be for the board to approve the plan as submitted and modified.
Okay, how about Mrs. Cochran's?
She did not reply back to the comments that I had put together.
Hers are pretty easy, on this page, you see, she talked about the 30-foot rounding, so we got that. Something about the rear setback to Healy. Is that something about 15 feet? I believe it's-
If you'd like me to summarize, Mr. Chairman, she had comments on the development circle, which we all agreed would be moved over, so that it does comply with the bylaw. There was a question on frontage, as far as having an ownership interest in the new road. And the legal frontage would be created once the board approves a definitive plan recorded at the Registry of Deeds, and we just spoke earlier about the maintenance, and if that is satisfactory, I don't see an issue with that. Dick Cochran had a question on the waivers, and in my opinion, statute and case law provide the planning board to grant waivers from any of the requirements, in fact, any and all. There's plenty of case law on that. Road ownership, we already went through that, and then precedent. She was concerned about precedent, and again, per well-established case law, each request stands on its own merits, or lack thereof, and each request is defined by an individual set of circumstances specific to the project or the development that's being reviewed by the board. So, as such, in my opinion, as such, precedent is not an issue because the differences are can be so substantial.
All right, so you responded to them. All right, before I open up the public, I'll start with Joe. Do you have anything?
No, not at this time.
Okay. Kate?
No, my concern was the deed, and they both addressed it, so.
Okay. Sarah?
So the zoning circle, will that need to be changed? So to show that you're using the frontage for the new road? Right now, it's on Baker Street.
Well, it's,
So as we discussed, if the legal frontage is on the new road,
Yeah.
yeah. So does that need to be changed?
that means it now, doesn't
I
it,
don't believe
Maggie?
so. It's just, it has to be a circle of that size that fits in the lot, right?
It's gotta be tangent to the street line, you're taking the frontage off of.
But the,
The circle that you've got touching Baker Street for the existing house.
oh, okay, so it
If
has
it's
to-
legal frontage, if
okay.
if the frontage you're gonna use is its legal frontage, is going to be the new road, it's gonna
So
be
it
tangent to the
can be
road.
moved.
Yeah, yeah.
That's fine. And it's a 90-degree angle, so it.
Right.
That's a
Okay, so that,
2-minute exercise,
all
yeah.
right, so that would have to be part of, okay, it has to be moved down to the right.
Yeah.
Yep, okay.
And then I wanted to ask, is there a moratorium on Baker Street, and how is that
There is.
impacted, like with this project? Any impacts with that, or?
No, we'd have to, if we go to construct the utilities before the moratorium ends, we'd have to petition, I guess, to the Board of Selectmen. And what we've proposed for the pavement restoration out in Baker Street, we believe is probably what they would ask for. It's the full width of the frontage of the road, curb to curb.
Uh-huh. Okay. Okay, and I guess that's all I had. Thank you.
Okay. That's as well said. I'll ask anybody in the audience who has a question, comment, come up to the microphone, identify yourself.
Robert O'Leary, Precinct 3, Washington Street, abutter. I'm trying to follow, is it going to be corrected that, or made clear that the setback, the rear setback to the existing home at 26 Baker will be 30 feet? Just wanted to note, make sure that because the house that it abuts only has maybe 6 or 7 feet of setback before the line. So I just wanted to make sure that if it was to be 15, then you'd be adding maybe 6 or 7 feet to that if it was to be added on.
All right, the way the house is, this is Baker, it's like this now, they're gonna flip it. We're flipping the frontage, not the house. But presently, from Baker to the front of the house is 38.6, so that equals, that's more than 15 foot. On the side, the right side, as you're looking at it, it's 34.7, that will become the official back, so that's more than 30 feet. On the right side, the lot has gotta be 60 feet, and off the front, it's more, I don't see the,
There's a 30-foot setback on there.
yeah, and there's a 30-foot setback, and it's well beyond that, so once it turns, everything works. Matter of fact, it's pretty much, nothing's less than 30 around the whole house, so they could spin that thing any which way and it'll still be.
But it's going to be labeled as a rear setback
Yeah,
because the frontage is on the proposed road?
correct.
Okay. So the ownership issue has been cleared up as far as access to Lot 2? Because it was a question we had on, if it was not owned by Lot 2, how could they possibly have access to that lot? So I thought I heard something mentioned that that's going to be noted somewhere on who's going to own that road, and it's going to be Lot 2?
Are they gonna own it, or are they gonna maintain it? I forget. I know Lot 2's maintaining it, that's, we already talked about
Who's
that.
gonna maintain it?
But it's held in joint ownership?
I think it probably has to be if the frontage for the other street is there.
Okay, so okay, it's kinda like a condo, they each own it, but one guy has to fix it.
Because one guy's the guy using it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Does that answer that one, Rob?
Maggie has.
I've got one question. Then, when you deed out the lots, you're gonna have a common deed for the roadway? Because in private roads, it's gotta be mentioned on a deed somewhere, because the assessor's gonna wanna show it and tax, and assess it. So typically, if it's owned by this one or that one, it doesn't matter to me who owns it, but if it's going to be owned by both of them in common, you're gonna have to have a separate deed for them to own it both in common.
Yeah.
It's like with a public way, with a public way, when it goes on the assessor's maps, it just shows up as a layout that basically the town has an easement over, and the abutters, the owners, don't get taxed because the town has the public way easement over it. For something like this, that's not gonna happen. Typically, it's a parcel that somebody gets taxed for, so somebody has to own it by virtue of a deed. It can't just disappear when the lots are conveyed out. So if it's gonna be owned by both of them, which is fine, you're gonna have a deed showing that.
Yeah, the attorney,
You know, however they do it.
Have to,
Yep.
figure all that.
Because where it'll get messed up is when their deeds and the plans come back to the assessors for us to put on the maps when you do the parcel splits. If it doesn't make sense to them, you won't be it'll be hard to get a building permit because they won't know what to do with it. So just let them know if it's gonna be held in common ownership, it's just gotta come through the deeds that somebody owns it.
Okay.
Just to quickly mention, there are so many questions that we raised, and so much has not been discussed, and I have not been able to figure out the answer, not being a lawyer. And it would help to be an engineer, but I don't have that at my disposal either. So I think without those questions being raised, I think a peer review would be required here. There are that many issues going on, and just to pick one out of 100, to me, when I read 92E, that's an automatic failure, and they can't even move forward on it until that's addressed. And I could go on and on and on, but I'll leave it at that for now.
Is there anything you saw, Tim, that was in all of this that they brought up that is something from legal than normal?
No, Mr. Chairman, I spent several hours reviewing this, and I also reviewed it with the town engineer, and I'm very comfortable with where the board is. My biggest issue was the same as the town engineer, and that being very specific with the ownership of that road for future maintenance.
Okay,
I respectfully disagree with the abutter with his opinion.
okay. Because 92E is referenced and talked about something on Washington Street, which doesn't necessarily relate to this, but, John?
John O'Leary, Precinct 3, abutter. One question I have is, according to the planning board regulations, the applicant is supposed to locate the house on the plans, and to date, he still hasn't?
No, it's not in ours, non-subdivision control. Site plan, they have to put it on, show us. Subdivision control, a lot's a lot. All they have to do is put the circle.
So you're saying that waivers aren't part of subdivision control? I mean, aren't part of site plan review?
You just said putting the
Yes,
house
I'm
lot.
I'm making another issue that you're granting waivers, and isn't waivers fall under the site plan review
No,
process?
no, we have subdivision control, we have our own rules and regs, and then you have the zoning bylaw, which has site plan in that. We do both. If we're doing site plan, we use the zoning book. We're doing subdivision control, we use the subdivision control book.
My other question then is clarification. Which of the plans would be the official plan that's being approved? The proof plan that they've shown, or the layout plan that they have already shown that had the 29-foot bound?
No, the 29's going away. It's gonna be the 30.
So the proof plan then will be the plan that's approved by the planning board. Am I understanding that correctly?
Well, you mixed and matched. He has radiuses on one plan showing he could do it with 30, but he wanted to keep the frontage on Baker, which he's not gonna need anymore, so he doesn't need that. So that, anything to do with 29-foot rounding is gone. That plan is just gonna be thrown away. Will be.
Well, one of the issues with the 29-foot round was that, according to my calculations, it subdivided Lot 2 into 3 pieces. Now, I've been told that the plan says otherwise, but looking at the plan doesn't show otherwise, other than being signed off on by the surveyor. Since the surveyor is here, can he explain how the 1-foot gap occurs on the plan?
What's the 1-foot gap?
The gap between
Oh, that?
this
Yeah,
lot and that lot?
yeah. There's nothing wrong with, that's what it's supposed to be. They chose to make that part of
Well,
it.
I agree that that's what they want, but the way they've drawn it, it doesn't indicate
That doesn't indicate what?
that there is a gap.
Yes, it does. It says right in the plan I'm looking at, it says
Yes.
1.74 feet.
But if you actually calculate the distances involved, that gap is imaginary.
That gap is what?
Imaginary.
So you're telling
As
me,
the plan is drawn, just as it's drawn,
Yeah.
maybe it needs additional information on it to indicate why that gap is there. But my reading of the plan is the 1-foot gap doesn't exist. Now, if there is, in fact, a 30-foot round there, that issue goes away. But I'd want a clarification then from you that
no, sheet,
the road will in fact be shown 30 feet away from the northern border.
okay, we're talking apples and oranges, I think. Sheet 3 is the official layout showing the 30 feet that he can do it. And he shows the 46-foot with our standard cul-de-sac. And it shows at the top, at 12 o'clock, it shows 2 foot. At about 2:30, showing.
So if that is the
1.7.
official plan, that issue goes away, and I.
That's
I
gonna be the
no longer
official
have
plan.
any
Yep,
questions.
that's it.
Okay.
This one will be, is that number 3 there, John, down the corner? If it is, that's the
Yes, it
official.
is.
That's gonna be the one.
Okay. That issue. I believe that's it for the moment then, thank you.
Okay. All right, anyone? Okay. No other questions? All right. Now. We're gonna do the waivers, so. Should we, you wanna close it? Do the waivers?
Well, as long as he wants to close it. Are you interested in closing?
Yes, please.
Well, he can, anybody can say they want it closed.
Well, I want to make sure the applicant wants to close.
Okay. Take a motion to close?
I
Second.
think they do.
Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, what we should do first, because the plan is showing two things, one with waivers, one without. So we have the waivers, and we have to vote those. And I will read them, and we want to vote them separate or as one bunch, but we'll go down each one. First one is section waiver from our subdivision rules and regs, section 4-2C, dead-end streets allow a dead end to be laid out without a cul-de-sac. The second one is, what?
Should it say, but with a hammerhead?
No, without a cul-de-sac, that's what he's asking for. What's on the plan is what you're gonna get.
Okay,
All right?
that's fine.
The second one is section 4-4E, intersection allowed to, no, we're getting rid of section 4, the second one, correct? 'Cause you agree, right?
Yes.
That's gone, because it's gonna conform. Third one, the next one in line is 4-6, drainage system, waive the entire section requirement, we still have the drains. Whatever's on the plan stays, it's just, he's taking it off out of our standards. Section 5, standard specs allow the subdivision to be constructed without a strict compliance with all the standards, see the list below. And that would be roadway width, to allow it to be less than 26 feet. It will be 20 feet wide, and allow the roadway to be constructed without the 88-foot diameter turnaround within the cul-de-sac. Sections 5-7, A through D, curbs and gutters allowed to be constructed without curbs, gutters, or edging. Section 5-8, sidewalks allowed to be constructed without sidewalks, and section 5-9 to be constructed without grass plots. They will actually be grass, but, okay. Anybody have any issues with what? So what he's done is, what you see on the plans, he proposes, is he's gone back and taken it out, but it's, and what he's replaced is what's in the back of this.
I think that there's one missing that they may not have, it may be in the DIS, written in the DIS, I know it's not on the front. Do they need a waiver for the traffic impact analysis? They did the site distance. They did the site distance analysis that we asked for, but they did not do, nor did I ever think for a two-lot subdivision, that a full traffic analysis was valid. They did have a licensed traffic engineer look at the site distance, and that was the fellow that made the recommendation about trimming the brush and all. But do they need a waiver for that? I didn't mean to interrupt you, I'm sorry.
I was going to make that motion for traffic impact analysis, the environmental impact analysis, the fiscal impact analysis, the community impact analysis, let them have a waiver on all of that.
Okay.
So there's no question going forward.
All right, we'll do that as separate. The DIS is separate from the plan.
Right.
Okay, so everybody understand what he's asked for, what he's shown? All right, so, did I have a motion for that? Okay, I make a motion to grant them. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. All those, any further discussion? All those approve?
Aye.
Abstain? So 4-0 on that. Now, you wanna make the motion to DIS?
All right, on the DIS, move for a waiver on the traffic impact assessment, the environmental impact assessment, the systems impact assessment, the fiscal impact assessment, and the community impact assessment.
Okay, is that a formal motion? Okay, I'll second it. Any discussion on that? All is in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right, that's taken care of. As I jotted down the special conditions, I will make it a condition, but this one is, sheet 4 will no longer be there. Maybe we don't take it out, but maybe we just X through it. Would that make the most sense?
It doesn't even, I don't think if there's nothing on it that you need, that they're gonna need, because the lot sheet that'll get recorded will be, what is it, sheet 3 would be the other one, I don't. Either put a great big X through it, or just leave it out because you don't really need it.
What about the easement?
Everything that's on that plan would have to be transferred to the other sheet.
Oh, okay.
Sheet 4 goes away, then the other sheets need to change to reflect sheet 4 going away.
Okay, then what you'll do is an X will be placed through the roundings. The 29 foot.
I think what would be.
Well, you tell me how to do it.
Would be remove sheet 4 completely, because if, on sheet 5, what the proposed layout is reflects the
All right.
layout of sheet 4, so I need to move that.
So you wanna get rid of sheet 4?
Yeah, and adjust the layout to match.
Okay.
On all sheets.
Okay, then we'll put that as a condition. Sheet 4 will be moved, and the adjustments will be made on the subsequent
And
sheets.
the layout on all the other sheets will reflect that of sheet 3.
Yep. That's a
Thank you.
All right. In the deed, Lot 2 will have a deed that say they're responsible for the maintenance. There should be a note on the brush that has to be removed somewhere on the plans. The circle will be moved to reflect where it's gonna be on the new street. There'll be a separate deed for the road that will name both parties. And another one was the waiver on the DIS information. That's what I have. Do we have any, missing any?
Madam Chairman, on the road, going back to the road for a moment, you're saying the existing structure does not want to have any responsibility for that road, correct?
Correct.
So we really probably wouldn't want both of them to cause, wouldn't it cause some confusion?
Well, you two get together and
What?
battle
Okay.
out, because Maggie's the one that says, I need them on the
Understood.
deed. What,
Well,
you
usually
can have a
somebody-
If they
deed,
are on the deed,
It's
she's
not just
saying.
responsible for the see,
Taxes.
typically, there's a document that specifies this out, and the problem we're gonna have is getting rid of that document, you have to find some way to specify it. You got two issues, you got the maintenance and the ownership. Somebody can be responsible for the maintenance who isn't the owner. It's however you wanna do it. So
so,
lot 2 can be responsible for the maintenance, but if they're gonna own that together in common, that means there's gonna be a third deed out there.
Could it be that the requirement is to provide a deed of who owns the roadway, and then it would in fact be a third deed, but the developer can figure out whether he's gonna deed it solely to Lot 2 or whether,
Yeah.
okay.
yeah, as long as you
As
got
long
the
as
paperwork.
somebody owns it somewhere when you go to pull building permits, that,
Okay,
doesn't matter who.
thank
Yeah.
you.
Do you want a motion on that? Do you want to make a motion on that, or no?
Those are some of mine, before, anybody, is there anything to add? Did we get them all, or, did you have any? Tim, you all set?
I'm good.
Okay, I'll do that as a motion.
Second.
Need a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, so that's 4-0-0. And I'll make a motion to approve definitive subdivision plan 26 Baker Street, the latest revision, and all the special conditions.
Second.
We have a second. Any further discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, and it's a vote.
Thank you.
Make life easier when you come back to get your plan signed, please have the deeds and how you're gonna do it, so the questions are taken care of. Maggie, yes?
Yes.
So that,
We'll work with the applicant's engineer to be sure
yeah,
it's
just to
all right.
make sure, so we're not here all night,
Thank you.
okay? Oh, I forgot to mention it. Oops. About, oh, by the way, you'll be back here anyway. Scenic road hearings. We'll miss you till then.
He's Pete Red.
He looks so happy. It was like we won, oh no, we didn't.
Poor guy.
Let's go, we gotta get up in the morning, let's go, let's go. What? No, 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 no. Who used to say that, Kate? Yeah, Betty's probably watching from the Cape now. Yeah, well, Betty's on there. board, there's only like 2 streets in Walpole. There's one for you. You want this?
This is the same that we have, right?
Is it the same? Yeah.
Oh, no. No, this is this one, that's different. You have a set. Okay. All right. Okay. You got the folder? Hey, Kate, find me.
Folder,
You
55?
don't really need it, I just gave you the new stuff.
Where'd you give me the new stuff? Oh,
It's
this?
just the comments, everything
Oh,
else.
I'm sorry.
Sorry.
All right, you just. Okay, with the hour being after 7:29, we have a continued public hearing for 255 Union Street, case number 17-5, for site plan. That being said, Mr. American here representing the client, and before you start, can I read the comments, or do you want to have something? Okay, February 21st, the Board of Health is February 20th meeting, voted unanimously, they have no concerns at this time. Appreciate the street lighting, sidewalk, and designated recycling have been added. From the Walpole Police Department, dated February 26th, the Walpole Police Department does not have any public safety concerns relative to traffic. From the Concom, dated February 28th, the above property, reference property, closed their hearing with the Commission on February 14th, and the Commission has issued an order of conditions. And Sewer and Water Commission dated February 27th, and this went to all Board of Appeals and the Concom along with us. The Board of Water and Sewer met with the representative of the above-mentioned project. After review of the proposed sewer and water utility connections, the Board approved the piping configuration conditional upon the applicant providing legal documentation indicating that if the property is sold or otherwise divided, the individual connections to each building shall be required. These connections shall be the responsibility of the owner. From Deputy Chief Paul Barry, dated February 20th. The Fire Department has reviewed the plans of February 9th, and our comments remain consistent of January 16th. The applicant has proposed posting the existing driveway and no parking zone. We find this acceptable with the following requirements. We want no parking signs. Paved poured paths shall be sufficient. Paved and poured paths shall be sufficient to support stretches, and the paths shall be maintained year-round. A monitored fire alarm system shall be installed, and the installation of fire suppression may be required. Okay, given that the last two is more of a building item, but I think he's just putting that on there, but we do cover the paths. I have it from Maggie, and I have, I'll let Maggie go next, and then from the building commissioner, I am in complete agreement. Right? You got this framed? No? Okay, the question was on the moratorium, and
No, the question was about 6C3B, the upland area provision.
the up.
That was Sarah's question from the last meeting.
Oh, okay. Okay,
Basically, it doesn't apply to this lot because it predates that provision of the bylaw.
okay. And now,
What's the second go-around?
go ahead, Maggie. Doing this with you since what, 97? I've never had a one-page letter.
Second time around, you might have.
There's another one for you to frame, Dan.
I kept looking for
Go
the other
ahead.
sheets.
Just a couple of very minor things. The proposed wetlands plaques and postings along the plan. I didn't see the little notation as to what the symbol was. I think we've come up with an addressing scheme. I think 911 wants separate numbers for the buildings, so we've got those. I think what is it, 255 would be the first one, and then we'll like jump up by 10. So they do want separate numbers, so we'll come up with
Yeah,
some.
you just tell us what we need and we can put that on the plan.
Yep, and then just if a condition of approval requiring utility as-bills when the site is complete. That could be added, and that's it.
All right. Tim?
I have nothing, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. I'll start from this side, Sarah.
Okay, just a couple things. So I noticed you put lighting near the parking lot, but there's no lighting on the pathway, like between the buildings?
We didn't show it on the plan. I mean, there'll be lighting on the buildings. You know, this is a residential. They basically application. So there'll be some notes on the pictures at the entrances of the buildings, and Mike may add some walkway lighting, but, you know, we typically usually just show the parking lots. And in this case, we're not proposing commercial grade lighting for parking lots, we're proposing residential style lantern posts.
Yeah, but somebody lives all the way here and they have to walk through the walkway from the parking lot. And then there was a note about the parking, where is it? The question is, are you gonna put a note on the plan to show that there's a no parking sign on the existing driveway, which is just gonna be like a temporary?
We can do that. You know, if that, I think those two conditions from Paul Berry, if we can reflect that on an enforcement plan. with-
Okay, okay. Okay, no, that's all I had, thank you.
Okay,
I'm good, I had my questions answered last time.
Joe?
You still before ZBA?
Concom approved it and issued a decision, zoning board voted to approve it, they have not issued the decision yet to my knowledge.
Are you interested in closing tonight?
I am, yes.
Thank you.
Interesting, huh? All right, my shot. What I will say is, what Sarah had just mentioned about the walkway lights being this is, you know, once you get a 3 and above, you're in the commercial land, so if you have any porches or anything like that, you're gonna have lights lit all the time, and they're gonna have to be battery backup, which you'll find fun. But my only comment is, if to have the lights either on, I'm not necessarily one who thinks you need them on the walkway, but they should at least be off the building one way or another. The path will be lit up.
Yes, we could just basically stipulate that the walkways will be lit.
That's what, yeah. Chances are you'll do it off the building as opposed to the lights, because, I mean, as a walkway. That'd be the biggest thing. Everything else, it didn't seem to be a whole lot to, other than that lighting. That was my only comment. Anyone in the public have any questions, comments relative to 255 Union Street site plan? Okay. No? Being none? Okay. I'll make a motion to close.
Second.
Before I kill it. Still interested?
Yes, sir.
Okay, yes, I like that, sir. Okay, we have a second. All those in favor, close the hearing? Aye.
Aye.
Closed. Okay. Okay.
He needs a couple of waivers on the DIS, as he requested to.
All right, so the waivers, we have waive the DIS.
Traffic impact assessment, environmental impact assessment, systems impact assessment, fiscal impact assessment, and the community impact assessment.
You want to do that as a formal motion?
Yes.
Okay, formal motion, I'll second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, okay. And as far as the conditions, the only special condition is that the pathway be lit either via off the buildings or on the pathway. But it will be lit. That's one. Tim, did you have any?
I do not, Mr. Chairman.
All right, and everything else is according to our standard conditions, which are 1 through, oops, guys, I see them. Sure you know them, Dan. Not much you can do about it, because you didn't request any waivers from them, so. Make a motion to approve.
Second.
A second, with those added that special condition, okay. Any further discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained?
Thank you for your time.
Thank you for being brief.
My
Unlike-
preferred approach.
Unlike your predecessor. I'm a dad.
You wanna take a little break?
If you want, I don't have to.
We're gonna continue, Jan.
What?
He's gonna continue.
Seven 30, we have a continued public hearing for Nichols Pond subdivision.
Mr.
And
Chairman.
representing the applicant is,
Mr. Chairman, Rob Truax, GLM Engineering. Seeing that you don't have a full board this evening, Mr. Wakefield would like to continue without testimony to your next available meeting.
okay, do we?
Because you don't implement the Mullen Rule, correct? Just to, yeah.
When's that? Do we need an extension?
March 15th is Pulte and the zoning articles. April 5th is continued Main Street, that Cana Homes.
Oh, the, yeah, the,
So probably March, April 5th, I would say. It's gonna be a popular night next week.
you wanna be after Pulte?
On,
March 15th?
No.
No.
you asking me or them?
I just threw it out to everybody. I knew what the answer's gonna be for us.
What do you want to do, Dave, April 5th?
The only thing you got April 5th going is next to Ginny Griffin's there, the old.
I believe you have an extension now that goes till April 10th.
April
If
10th.
you want another one now, or-
It'd be nice to continue
Yeah.
to keep
Never
both.
happened. Jeff, we need an extension. It's
Mark
up April
gets my
10th,
call, Pete, today,
just in
so-
case.
Yeah, okay.
when you want to.
End of April,
End of April.
April 31st,
Or April 30th.
everybody's the 31st. Oh, yeah?
I listen to Katie.
Pete knows these things.
Okay. Okay, I'll make a motion to accept an extension up through April 30th, 2018 to take action on Nichols Pond. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Abstain. And we will continue this public hearing on April 5th at, when's the other guy on?
7:15.
Yeah, he's still got a ways to go. We just hardly started with him. 7:30 on April 5th.
Is there any new comments that we can get before that time, or she's?
Cone of silence is on. You asked to continue without testimony.
Okay, I'll come in the office and get one.
Here
of
we
these.
go.
Thank you.
Okay. And just, let's call it a wrap. Okay, make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained? Done.